Welcome to the Superstar Communicator podcast. My name is Susan Heaton-Wright, a leading impact, speaking and communications expert. My aim is to show you how to make an impact so you will be heard, listened to and respected for career success. Listen weekly to the podcast and go to our website, superstarcommunicator.com. Hello everybody, this is Susan Heaton-Wright from Superstar Communicator. As you know, I'm supporting you all in raising your profile, and I am aware that unfortunately there are going to be some talented people that you and I know that are going to be looking for jobs in the next few months, and I like to hope that some of the content will really help you with this. So I am very pleased to have on the other end of the internet today, Susan Kench. Now, why do you think that I would be inviting her? Well, that's because she's the owner-director of Marshall Walker. This is an independent LinkedIn training and support consultancy. You see where I'm going on this, listeners. So welcome, Susan.
Thank you very much, Susan. Thanks very much for inviting me to have a chat with you today.
Oh, brilliant. Now, tell us what you do, because I'm sure that all of the listeners are very intrigued.
Okay, thanks, Susan. So, as you said, I run an independent specialist LinkedIn training consultancy business. We work with professionals and with organizations to help them use LinkedIn more effectively, to raise their professional brands on LinkedIn, to reach out and build really productive relationships, and basically to grow their careers and the business.
You know, that's incredible that a platform can do that.
LinkedIn is at the moment, it may change, but at the moment it's the preeminent social media platform for the B2B sector. So if you are working in the business-to-business environment, it's really the only place that you really should be if you are either looking to change roles or if you're looking for new clients. In fact, there's I think it's now about 675 million LinkedIn members across the world, stretching over 200 countries. So also if you are looking to build relationships across, geographies, then it's a great place to be. It's also, if you're in the B2B sector, it's 80% of B2B leads come from social media, come from LinkedIn.
Do they?
Yeah. So again, if you are looking for leads and you're in the B2B environment, then you should be spending quite a lot of time on LinkedIn. And another stat, which I think is quite important, is about 79-80% of kind of the C-suite executives, so people who are making decisions in organizations, are looking at LinkedIn both to make purchasing decisions about service providers that they're going to use. And I think the stat is even higher if they're looking at recruiting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it's kind of in the 80 or 90%. So LinkedIn, obviously, originally when it was first launched back in 2003, was seen mainly as kind of a recruitment platform.
Yes.
Nowadays, it is equally as good if you are looking to get new clients. So it offers kind of a dual purpose nowadays.
That's incredible. I can't get over some of those statistics. It just shows how powerful it is.
Yes, well, it's about engagement, really. Everyone who works around marketing or business development knows that it's really important to kind of engage and add value to your target audiences, to your existing clients, to your prospective clients. So you've really got to be thinking about how you can keep those audiences engaged. And because there's such a volume of people on LinkedIn, it's more than likely that clients or prospective employers are going to be on LinkedIn relatively regularly. So it's about kind of building kind of that stickiness, you know, whether it's existing or prospective clients, or whether you're trying to raise your brand within a particular audience if you're looking for a job. So I think it's a place where you can promote yourself. It's like your Google shop window, effectively, in terms of your profile. But it's also much more than that, because it's more about participating in LinkedIn. So if you are just going and building a profile on LinkedIn and never actually getting involved in any of the conversations, you're only kind of using it to 50% of its strength.
That's a really good point. I was going to ask you about that, because it can be very easy to think that using social media, of which LinkedIn is one platform, is a point of just posting stuff.
Yes, it definitely is a very good place to promote yourself as a thought leader in terms of the content that you share, and kind of raise awareness about you as a professional, but also as your organization. But again, I always kind of take it back to how would you be in an offline situation, because really the way that you are on LinkedIn and how you use LinkedIn should really absolutely reflect how hopefully you would conduct yourself in a face-to-face environment. And with that analogy, if you walk into a networking room and you just start speaking at people, but never listen or ask questions back, then I think we all know and have probably met those kinds of people.
Yes, I was thinking that.
Yeah, and those are the people that we try and steer clear of. So, it's really important, because LinkedIn, the premise of LinkedIn, the reason I think that especially what they are trying to do right now, is they are really focusing on prioritizing authentic and valuable conversations. Yeah.
So you're talking about conversations. I know that there are occasionally on LinkedIn people that put something on that is clickbait, the equivalent of the sort of Daily Mail clickbait, to get lots and lots of likes and things like that. What's your opinion on that?
Well, you can probably imagine what my opinion on that. Again, you know, we're professionals. We would conduct ourselves professionally in a face-to-face environment. And so again, I think the way that I would suggest to my clients, at least, is that you conduct yourself professionally on LinkedIn. And also, LinkedIn is not a sales platform. It's very important to think about it in that it's a relationship building platform, because we all know, and research continues to show, that people like to do business with people they know, like, and trust. Yeah. So that relationship always has to be key. And that's why I go back to that whole thing around, you've got to focus on engaging and adding value. So it's not just about drawing people in, but what is it that you are talking about? What can you offer that can really add value to prospective clients or to a prospective employer? So if you're looking to change roles or you're looking for a new job, again, it's about demonstrating how you can add value to that prospective employer's organization.
So that within LinkedIn, there are groups, and certainly I'm a member of certain groups, and there's not much engagement. What would you say about that?
It's a criticism or a critique of LinkedIn that's been going for a few years now. I still think LinkedIn has work to do on the groups. Yes. I believe, I'm not affiliated with LinkedIn, just to let everybody know. I'm completely independent. So unfortunately, I don't have a special channel to know what they're doing in terms of their strategy, their planning. But it's difficult, I think, still to find groups that are working really effectively. What I suggest to people is you should really go and have a look at some groups. You can join them very easily, and once you're in, you can see whether or not there's anyone saying anything of value. If no one has said anything for 6 months, or the only people who are saying things are basically just spamming or promoting, then I would suggest not being part of those groups. I think the most important thing is to develop a network in terms of your connections that works for you, people that are relevant to you and what you do, that you can actually maybe develop. So I'm not a big advocate for just building a network just so that you can have, 10,000 connections. Yeah. So in that way, I think groups, you have to be really selective, and also really, if you're being really, if the groups thing, if you're going to be getting a lot out of a group, you really need to be on it on a regular basis, maybe once a day. So if you're really honest with yourself, maybe you might only be able to be on 1 or 2 groups at a time. So again, it's not a good idea to just, it's just a waste of time really to be in a lot of groups. Be focused and make sure that they are actually, people in there are actually willing to have conversations.
That's a really, really good point. Now, you and I are both small business owners, and I'm sure that you have a business page, and I certainly do.
Yeah.
And there've been some new features that have been put in with LinkedIn, including being able to invite people, and you can actually see who those people are.
Yeah.
Just to let everybody know, there's no way that I would spam them by downloading all of their details, which unfortunately I've been having with emails, which is illegal in GDPR. Yes. Just to let everybody know that.
Absolutely.
But I have found that people are very interested in that, and I'm building up followers that way. What is your opinion of this particular feature?
Oh, well, to be honest, it used to be, they took it out. So you used to be able to see who your followers were a few years ago, and then they removed it. And so now it's back in. So I'm not exactly sure what their, their decision process was around that. I think it's a good thing. It's just a question, as you say, of being just very honest and authentic around the relationships that you're building with those people. So if you can see who your followers are, then no, don't go and spam them or whatever. It's a question of having a look and seeing who those people are. It can give you, if you look at those people, it'll give you more information about the kind of people who are interested in following your page.
That's a good point.
Which you can then maybe tailor the content that you're sharing from your page more to that type of audience.
Yes.
So there's understanding who the audiences are that are wanting to engage with you and your business, I think is very important. And I think that's one of the reasons why they probably added back that particular feature. For those of you who have more than one person in your business, if you add admins to the business page, then they can also invite their connections as well, just to let you know that.
So, that's a good point.
Yeah. So if you do have more than one person, a partner you're working with or an employee, then adding them as admins will allow them to actually invite their connections, and then you could actually increase your followers.
Oh, that's amazing. That's an amazing tip. Now, with LinkedIn, your account is yours. It doesn't belong to your company, does it?
No.
The reason why I asked that is that for my music business, I used to have an assistant, and she moved to, let's say, a pretty unscrupulous employer. And eventually she left, and they bullied her into closing the account because as they said, they were their contacts, not hers.
Um, yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yes, it is. And
I mean, I don't have anything I can suggest other than maybe contacting LinkedIn, but that
yeah,
obviously is an internal issue that is problematic. I mean, your profile, obviously, your account is your own personal, professional piece of real estate on the internet.
yes, that's what I said to this lady. I think she was stressed anyway. I said, just perhaps just ignore them. They have no rights to do that. These are your
No,
contacts.
they absolutely are. Yeah, and I think there's always a little bit of discussion that has to go on internally in organisations around that whole point. You know, when I work with organisations, there's always discussion around the way they brand their profiles. You know, should I put up the logo for the organisation? You know, the background, your profile background, and those things are really all up to you as it's your account. And you know, people move around, and so this is kind of the story of you as a professional as your career develops.
Yeah, and that's
How
really
it should be.
that's a really good point. Certainly, back in May, I had a connection. We'd been connected on LinkedIn for 12 years, but I'd worked with her 12 years ago, and she was now CEO of a marketing company and wanted me to come in and train her team. And that was from 12 years ago, and
Yeah.
she'd moved on and I'd moved on, and it showed the power of LinkedIn as far as I was concerned.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, hopefully if you're using LinkedIn well and you're getting involved, you will see, you know, I tell my clients when I train them, you know, even if they're kind of at the beginning level, you know, the more as they develop their profiles, they add connections, they're going to get more profile views, they're going to get more invitations to connect, their content will be seen by more people. I mean, to be honest, I just can't understand why people wouldn't use LinkedIn. I mean, it's the free version is very, very effective. It's I think sometimes it's about people feeling a little bit risk averse to putting themselves out on a social media platform when it comes to their business.
Yeah.
And I understand that. I work a lot with lawyers who are, you know, trained to be risk averse. I was a lawyer many years ago, so I understand that. But if you basically work around, you know, clear marketing, branding, business development principles, you can't get it wrong. I mean, it's a really, really effective way of supporting, as I said, the way you your personal brand as a professional in the business environment. So, right, you know, if you don't do anything else, creating a good profile is definitely, you know, step one.
And you mentioned about invitations. Obviously, we can contact people to invite them to become part of our network, and the other way around. I'm sure you've got a couple of opinions of those tips.
If you are inviting someone to connect, always personalize that message to them. So if you are looking at their profile, their full profile on a desktop, you can click the blue connect button and then it will give you an option to add a note. If you're on the app though, you have to make sure that you actually click not the connect button, but there's a little box that says more.
Yes.
That personalized.
Made that mistake.
Yeah. So reason being, this is a relationship building platform. No one likes to get, you know, that default message. It shows that if you do that, it just looks very obvious that you've just gone through a whole load of people and just click connect. And it just doesn't feel good if you feel that people haven't even read your profile. Opposite in terms of pending invitations, if you are looking at, you know, my network, icon, you've got a ton of pending invitations, always make sure you try and clear them out pretty soon after you get the invitation request, because if you let them mount up, and they can mount up very quickly, it's going to take a lot for you to actually go through them. And it's happened to me. Well, if you don't do that, chances are you might miss an opportunity because you haven't responded to an invitation request.
That's a really, really good point. Now, certainly in the last few months, I've been getting what I would almost think of as bot invitations, standard ones. And in fact, there's somebody who recommended a particular piece of software where I could do that, and it just didn't feel right because it wasn't personalized. It was almost like, I don't know, putting leaflets through people's letterboxes.
Yes.
Connections.
Agreed. I don't use them either. I don't recommend to clients that I use them. I mean, there is an argument, I guess, that the more connections you get, there's a possibility that you will be able to reach a larger audience. But having said that, LinkedIn, the LinkedIn algorithm looks at relevance, quality, and popularity. So the first thing they look at is relevance. So when you share a piece of content, it won't automatically go to all your connections. It may only go to a handful. And then LinkedIn is looking at the relevance in terms of the identity of all the members that it could go to. It's looking at the topic. Is it relevant to those members? It's looking at those members' behavior. Are they looking at that? So that's just the one thing. And then they're going to look at the quality of the post, and they're going to look at how, the more popular it is, the more engagement, then they'll send it to a wider audience. So it's kind of a step-by-step process. So to get it to, okay, you have 20,000 connections, but it's never going to go to even a small portion of those if they're not relevant connections.
That's a really good point. And I'm sure in your training, you go into that in more detail so that people can really
absolutely
that knowledge.
Yeah. There's a lot of things to think about when you are posting. And again, I don't have the inside knowledge on exactly what the LinkedIn algorithm looks at, but there's been a lot of research from kind of outside the LinkedIn doors where we've tried to work out what it is going to make a good post. So yes, we do definitely talk about that when I talk to clients.
Oh, brilliant. So I always ask my guests for 3 top tips that they can share with the listener on maybe how to use LinkedIn, maybe how to look for a job. I don't know. The stage is yours.
Well, a basic top tip, and I think this is probably obvious, is number 1, first thing you should do if you're going to do anything on LinkedIn is make sure you have really optimized your profile. It's common sense. You don't want to start getting active on LinkedIn if you whether it's looking for a job or to get new clients, if you are not representing yourself in the best possible light on your profile. A lot of people maybe set up their profile, could be years ago. Some people tell me they joined, in 2003, and they haven't really done much since in terms of editing it, optimizing it, having a think about what it is that they want to actually put out there. So the first thing is think about what you want to put out there in terms of your personal brand. So strategy comes before the profile optimization. What's your strategy? What are your goals for LinkedIn? Who are the target audiences, and what are the messages that you want to say? What are the things you want to convey to those audiences? And that is basically the structure for your profile. Okay. So basic and kind of a top level tip, but you would be amazed at how many of my clients say they think their profile is looking good, and it's not necessarily true. So I think a lot of it is about having a strategy first, because if you just think, oh, I'm just going to cut and paste my CV, that isn't that isn't a strategy.
Okay.
So I think in terms of just a couple of things in terms of posting, a lot of people ask me about posting. Make sure that you do not share a piece of third-party content without writing your own opinion or your own view on it above. No one's going to want to engage with some piece of content that you've just shared with no comment. Also, very importantly, that comment that's a platform for you to be able to demonstrate your thought leadership. So if you are choosing content from a third party, make sure it's something that you can then use to demonstrate that you are an expert in that field and you've got something important and of value to say.
Very good point.
And then in terms of engaging with other people's posts, just a very basic tip, it's important to not just, if you want to start building conversations and relationships with other members on LinkedIn, instead of just liking people's content, think about a comment, because comments are a way to get conversations going. And anytime you like, comment, or even reshare someone's post, they obviously will get notified. So even if you don't know someone and you want to get to know them, starting to comment on their posts they'll get that notification. So then you will start to come into their awareness. So that's a way to you can actually over time and not stalking, to build relationships with people.
That's a good idea.
And LinkedIn, just on that last point, LinkedIn is now prioritizing comments over even reshares because they want to get that conversation going with a number of people. So I would suggest, rather than reshare a piece of content to your network, comment on it. The original poster will see the comment, but also your network will see the comment because they'll get notified about your activity as well. So you can use that in two ways.
That's a brilliant tip. Now, I'm sure after listeners have been listening to this, they will want to know more about your work and how they could contact you to perhaps do one of your courses. So could you just share some information?
Absolutely. So I work one-to-one, do LinkedIn coaching with, as I say, professionals who are either looking to develop a new role or if they want to build their client base. I also work in-house with teams to, again, help them to optimize their profiles and use LinkedIn as a business development and marketing tool. Obviously, all of that is online nowadays. I also am running what I'm calling bite-sized learning, which is every other week Zoom kind of learning presentation. I do present on LinkedIn, but that also is other professionals in other aspects of BD and marketing are also presenting. So that's something that you can join from Eventbrite. In terms of how to contact me, my website is linkedintutors.com, or you can email me at susan@linkedintutors.com. It's probably the easiest thing to do, is to send me an email, or obviously you can also find me on LinkedIn.
Of course. And would you accept connections from the listeners?
Absolutely. If they are able, as I said, recommend sending a personal invitation. If you could let me know that you heard this conversation, I would be very happy to accept your invitation. And actually, I am offering like a 10% discount for those people who are coming through you, Susan. So
brilliant.
If they just mention that will also be helpful.
Winners all round, fantastic. I will make sure, listeners, that if you get the transcript of this particular podcast episode, you will have those details. But in the notes attached to this podcast, I will make sure that the website and Susan's email are included so that you can easily contact her. Susan, this has been fantastic. I have learnt so much in this conversation, as I'm sure the listeners have.
Thank you, Susan. It's been really great chatting with you. And if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them via LinkedIn or via email. So thanks again. It's been a real fun.
Brilliant. Thank you, Susan. And thank you very much, listeners. And I wanted to let you know that we are just about to hit 45,000 downloads, listeners. So thank you all. And please don't forget to recommend me, post a recommendation or testimonial on one of the podcast sites. And keep listening. And if you've got any ideas of content or people you would like me to interview, do let me know. So until next time, this is Susan from Superstar Communicator. You have been listening to the Superstar Communicator podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and review the podcast on iTunes and on apps. Please contact us if you want to discuss any topic, could suggest a topic for us to include, or a guest who could come onto the podcast. Go to superstarcommunicator.com.